mic down. Cool. Yeah, this is gonna be a quick one. Just want to go live a little bit from last night. Money and relationship. I talk a lot about finance and budget on my channel, life insurance, mental health, and things of that nature. But still got a tooth problem. But, believe it or not, man, cloves help with this toothache. Cloves help with the toothache. So I can't believe, like, real quick, I got a month out before I get an appointment to get a root canal for my tooth. That's how crazy right now. Dentist. I'm like, I need a dentist open on Saturdays so I can just go in there. A lot of dentists are open Monday through Friday. So it's kind of hard trying to structure the whole point of my tooth. But back to the program at hand. So when it comes down to it, man, a lot of people don't discuss finance thoroughly before getting into the relationship. And it be unexpectations. And Mills going on. It's unexpectations of a relationship. That's the number one, harmful issues in relationship. Young, what's going on? Unexpectations. So men have this expectation of either pay all the bills or half of the bills, the 50-50 thing. But when it comes down to it, oh yeah, people hit that like button coming in, appreciate you. So when it comes down to it though, is it reality? Because nowadays it takes two. It actually takes two in a relationship to make things work. One of my friends, his father-in-law said that they're from another country, and he was saying in his country, you just successful in the way the financial system works over here is way better than their country. Like, you literally, to buy a house, you have to either come with all the money or you have to come with half of the money. Ain't no 20% down. It's either half or all. That's the way you finance. Other than that, you rent. You rent. There's just nowhere around it. You rent. So combining income works. Just like he was saying, the way the system is designed, you literally have to have two now. Let me do a little recap, the whole, wave of the feminist movement and all this stuff. Because I do a little research about this stuff. So, looking into it with the Rockefellers and, so forth, the feminist movement was promoted to get the women out of the house out working. That they should be equal to men, they should carry a certain weight, they should be independent. All this stuff is being pushed into the household to give, women purpose and power. And I don't see nothing wrong with that. But it comes with a cost of you working like a man. And it's more beneficial for the system structure. Instead of you being at home, taking care of the kids, taking care of the household, you out here working, and now they got two incomes. Because I told my wife and I told several people this. I said, the craziness about divorces? Kids, especially when you have kids, you get 2 Christmas, 2 houses, 2 cars, 2 of everything. So it's a win-win for the system structure itself, because you got to understand, when you're in a relationship with somebody, You're working together. It's supposed to be a team effort. That's like this whole 50-50 thing. When it comes down to it, how is it 50-50 when you're married in a relationship paying bills? It's like community property. It's the household bills. You know, when it comes down to it, it's the household bills. It's not, if you don't pay your rent, we out on the street. No. Oh, you don't have enough for the rent? Let me help you. That's the standing on it. When it comes down to, you know, I ain't got enough for the cell phone bill. Looks like the cell phone gonna get cut off. I paid my part. I paid my part of the cell phone. Why you didn't pay your half? Stuff like that. 50-50. You pay half for one bill, I pay half for the other bill. If it don't get paid, it's just gonna get cut off. Lights get cut off because I paid the gas, you didn't pay the light bill. Now we ain't got no lights. Stuff like that. Come on. You know, me and my wife, we split the bills. There's times where I don't have enough, and she'll be like, well, you owe me. Same thing. You know, it depends on how your household is structured, because my thing is this. What's going on, open line? Things that I do in my house might not be the same way you do in your house. You know, there are some bills I pay, there are some bills my wife pay, but it doesn't exclude if she don't have the money that I pay that bill. You know, just recently, my wife was like, well, I can pay the insurance, but it's an automatic debit. It comes out here this time. I don't want to go into savings. I don't want to touch this. Can you just pay it and I'll pay you back? Pay me back for what? Okay. I'm not. We always say that. Well, I'm going to pay you back. Never really pay back. Because when it comes down to it, I might give her some, yeah, here. There go that $50 I owe you for that. But when it comes down to it, man, it's the house money. If a bill needs to be paid, it needs to be paid. Even this whole thing, the notion of, like, I seen this guy, he was expressing, and hit the like button on the way in. People appreciate you for coming in, stopping in. He was expressing this woman, her concerns about having a man paying all the bills. Let's go back to the old days when the men paid all the bills and the woman did what they did with their money. Because most women didn't work, so their money wasn't a lot. They focused on the kids. They might have bought groceries or something with that money, or did something with that money, because 10 times out of 10, they didn't work like they do now. A lot of women fought to work so they can make money to do what? Pay bills. That's actually what it's for. You know, hey, I've always said that teamwork makes the dream work, but it's a thing. People are married individually. You know, speaking on corporations, you know, you got two companies with a merger join together and make a big corporation. In marriage, there's still single entity corporations where you operate on your terms, I operate on my terms. There's nothing that's together. There's no teamwork. There's, you do what you do. You handle your side of your business and I handle my business. And that's it. There are marriages that work like that. Because, for one, either the man or the woman don't put their foot down to make this scenario a real thing of having a team partnership, however people call it nowadays, but to the point of the relationship growing. Because how can a relationship grow when you have your individual expectations and you're not voicing them to whomever? So that's always an issue when it comes regarding relationships. A lot of times you have people, they're married but pretty much separate in their mindset. I do what I do, they do what they do. You know, I'm not paying all these bills. When I got into the marriage, I told you I want to stay home, or I told you if we get married, you pay all the bills. I don't pay no bills. I'm a woman. I don't pay bills. My mama didn't pay bills. But then let's question, what did your mom do? Your mom stayed home with the kids. You want to be a working, non-paying contributor to the household. Me and my wife, we had joint accounts, and we have a separate accounts to where we still have money on the side, and we have a joint account for the bills. It works for us. It might don't work for other people like that, you know. You might don't want to let your spouse know what you make. Some people do. I mean, it's all according to how you do your relationship. Because like I said earlier, most of the time it works for some, but it don't work for others. The things that I do in my household might not work for yours. Prime example, I was listening to a video, I talked about this last night, where there was a woman, she was mad because her and her boyfriend got together. First year, they planned on having a kid after the first year. Didn't happen, so the guy said, let's make it 3 years. So in total, probably 3 to 4 years, they were together still. And upon that third or fourth year, then they started talking about having a kid. At the time, they met somebody that was newly in a relationship. They said the same thing. 3 to 4 years, you know, I mean, they together with the new people, like, if we stay together for a year, let's have a kid. So around that time, they're both bumping around the same time. They both have kids around the same time. Crazy part is this. When they go to have the kid, other couple has their kid, they only been together for a year and got a kid. This couple been together for almost 5 years and just got a kid. Then goes around, the couple says, well, we had a kid. The new couple's like, we should get married because we got a kid. The old couple just listening, you know, documenting all this stuff. So, and yet the old couple was supposed to get married going on to that third or fourth year, but never discussed it, just bumping around. And the woman had the expectations of the man to approach the situation about the talking. He never did. So, going into year 2 of the new couple, they got married, which would be year 6 or 7 for the old couple. They still not married. So the woman was like, if my husband asked me, well, if my boyfriend asked me right now to marry me, I'm gonna say no, because it took him too long. Which is the other lady, she got married less than 3 years of the relationship, this and that. How are you measuring your relationship to somebody else's? For one, you got to open your mouth. Closed mouth don't get fed. A lot of people are doing. You got family members telling you outrageous stuff. It kills me how a family member can come in and say, man, this person don't love you or they don't do this. Show you this how they look. If a person don't do this, they don't respect you. Whole time, it's always proof in the pudding. Look at that person giving their advice. What are they showing you? They not married. They don't have nobody. Every time they get somebody, it's always a bad situation. So it's like craziness. I hear this constantly all the time. When a person sits there and give so-called good advice, and you look at their life, how's their life? You know, it's always when the shoe is on the other foot. Even with finance. People try to tell you how to run your finance, and they're so much in debt. Now, if they're coming from experience like, man, trust me, I've been through this. I'm bad now because I did this. Then that might be something you want to listen to. But they're giving you advice on how to become a millionaire, and they're not a millionaire themselves. Most of the time, my proof is in the pudding. Now if you done bumped your head a couple of times and you done expressed to me all the pitfalls and how you're correcting the things, then I might take advice. Prime example, one of my uncles. He the one encouraged me to marry my wife. What's going on, Dr. Dunbar? Big discussion, 76 in the building. So, uncle, he's not married. My uncle told me one of the things he regretted was having kids and being married young, or at a reasonable time. He kind of played around too much. And life kind of passed him. He always looked at me as a son. Him and my mother were real close. They grew up relatively around almost the same age. So they was real close with each other. And, he would always express all this stuff to me about how good I'm doing, in life. Another person, my cousin. This is where I talk about the proof is in the pudding. To a degree, my cousin did everything right in his relationship with his wife. And he didn't marry her until he got older, but he was with her the whole time. Both of them, talked their talk, played around, whatever, but they started taking life more serious as they got older. He going and gets a divorce because his wife cheated on him with the maintenance guy in their building. And he expressed to me, finding someone to grow old with, but at the same time, understanding circumstances when you're in a relationship. So he was like, I'm encouraging you to get married, but at the same time, encourage you to understand the commitment that you're doing. So that gave me a more insight too to get married. A lot of times, man, people who are giving advice, giving the worst advice. Once I heard this pastor, he was saying that a guy was trying to express to him that, still have an issue with this tooth, sorry, but when it come down to it, he was expressing that, he said, man, you should have your kids not really looking at TV during the week, but more focus on, reading books and, just suggesting like some outrageous things that he thought. And so he was like, well, why are you giving me this advice? Let me see your kids. Let me see, how did your kids grow up? Because you have kids. He said, yes. He said, how old are your kids? He said, all my kids are grown. They're adults. He's like, all right, show me your kids. Show me how you're expressing this stuff that you want me to do for my kids. What are you doing what have you done for your kids? And hit that like button coming in. The crazy part is this. This man's kids are successful. He had, oldest child was a doctor. I think the second child was a professor. I don't know the whole order of them, but one was a doctor, one was a professor, and one was a lawyer. And when he came home, he implemented that to his 7 kids. He said, all you guys, as of today, we're going to start doing this. And this is a culture shock to the kids. They're like, man, we're not used to just not being able to do this Monday through Friday. Why we got to read these books and do all this? This guy showed him the blueprint. This what happens when you implement this type of thing to your kids. It works. So until he did that, went home. That's the same thing when it regards to finance and relationship. People giving great advice, they're showing you this. Like I said, I talked last night about this, about how I had one of my friends. Now I talked to this on Absalom Pianki TV channel. Shout out to him, APTV. So I had a friend that got married, real high-end earner, drive trucks, known this guy for years. His wife, she worked as a midwife, delivering babies and stuff. Both of them high end earners. They had a damn near close to $100,000 wedding, you know, and all that. And at the time, I wasn't married, going to the wedding, but at the time when he was getting a divorce, that's when I was entering my relationship. So he was mad because even though they were getting a divorce, he was still paying for the wedding. And he was, I'm talking about furious. It's where the finance goes into play and all that stuff. Because he technically wanted to pay for the wedding. Frugal Mama's going on. He wanted to go ahead and pay for the wedding before. I'm sorry. He wanted to pay for the wedding, I think, a year after they got married. Because it's not like they didn't have the money, to say the least. It's not like they didn't have the money. And when it came down to it, I'm like, why y'all just now, trying to get the wedding stuff situated, and y'all been together for at least 3 years. And the only thing he could say is, man, it was her. She wanted to do it this way. She wanted to do it this way. Man, lo and behold, when it come down to it, it was painful that this guy had to sit there, divorce, still trying to pay for a wedding. So he hurried up, paid it off quick as he could, his side, his portion. And she hurried up and paid her portion. And they did it pretty fast within that year because, like I said, they make money. But say the least, talking to my granddad, and we was talking about that, and he was like, the bigger the wedding, the faster the divorce. You've noticed that because my granddad's a pastor. He married off a lot of people, and he would always tell me about these big weddings and stuff, and they didn't last. Those was all for the money, all for the show. They were, trying to interpret this is what a good relationship is and all this and that, but it was just crazy. Like, that guy paid so much money for his wedding. And even the honeymoon, I think he spent like $20,000 on the honeymoon. They went to what it was, not the Bahamas. It was Barbados. They went to Barbados. Went to Barbados. What's going on, man? And really had a time like spending all this money on the wedding, all this money spent on the honeymoon, and within 3 years they got a divorce. It was a situation with one of her parents passing, and she couldn't hold herself together. She was, just going through it with him. So he ultimately couldn't take it no more. He got a divorce. And I'm like, man, it was crazy. And I'm like, dude, all that money. And I'm talking about they both, like, they had like an $800,000 house. They can afford it. Real nice house. It's an area down here in where was the house at? Not Powder Springs, Hiram. And the area is Hiram. So Hiram, there it's a place over there, what was it, Macklin Road. Real expensive houses over there. I'm talking about neighborhoods. You have one neighborhood, $1 million home. Next neighborhood to that, 800. I don't think they have any houses over there less than 500,000. I think it's like 600 might be the cheapest house in that area. And it's just 3 or 4 neighborhoods over there. Communities, rather say. And those communities are like just real plush, nice houses, and it's expensive. Going on, boss lady. And the crazy part about it is, like I said, the financial aspect of that. Both of them are good with finance, but it just, when it came down to it, he gave me that advice. He was like, man, don't spend a lot of money on your wedding. Just until as my granddad and all of them. So that's what I'm saying. They're giving me examples, and they're giving me just real life testimonies and stuff. Like I said, I had a lot of people influence me on getting married. They, like I said, I in the space on the internet, the manosphere guys. I talked with a lot of those guys, and they were saying that I got married too young. There was a lot of people talking to me saying that, man, you should have got married later. Prime example, it was this one guy. He was giving advice to this young guy. He was telling him, hey man, you are 24. You need to wait till you get like around in your 30s or 40s to get married. I didn't know marriage had a time limit on it to be married. So my thing was, I'm like, why does he have to wait? And their thing was, well, you want to experience some things, you want to experience life. I'm like, you can do all that while you're married. So unless you're just saying you want to have a lot of sex or something like that, then okay. Because my whole thing that I learned when I was getting married, I was mature for my age, you know, and the maturity level set me into play to being married because honestly, you have to be mature when you get married. You have to be mature when you're getting into a relationship. And far as finance, that's one of the biggest things nobody never really talk. Finance is hard on a relationship. Yeah, Tamika, what's going on? Yeah, I mean the bad thing about everybody's following the path of others, you tend to have this notion that it's gonna work because if my granddad did it this way, my dad did it this way, I'm gonna do it the same way. You're in a whole nother generation. Honestly speaking, things that the boomers did in relationships, Generation Alpha can't do. I mean, the clothes are different, the lingo is different, financing is different. You can't finance a house the way you did back in the day. You can't pay for a house. That's why it's crazy to hear so many people talking about how the young guys are not taking it serious, buying houses and stuff like that. Do you know how hard it is to buy a house nowadays? My son, I was expressing to my son that I'll help him get a house. My oldest son, he's 26. I was expressing to him that I'll help him get a house. I told him, I said, hey, told him this when he was in, damn that. I told him this when he was in college. And now, I said, I'll help you get a duplex. You know, I'll co-sign on the house. And after so long, I can take the house, sell it to a business once I have all the credit done right for my business. Sell it to the business to where it won't be in either our name, and you can go off and buy another house because researchers, you're a first time home buyer after 3 to 4 years. Did anybody know that? Just because you bought your first house after 3 4 years, you still qualify for the programs for as a first time home buyer. And nobody's telling me this stuff. I'm learning this stuff. I'm watching all the boring videos. Just watched the video this morning when Frugal Mom was live. I came over there for a minute, looked over there, then ended up watched this video about credit. Mahogany, what's going on? Hey, Mahogany, I need to come up to South Carolina. I need a root canal. Man, I'm like, it's hard finding dentists down here. It's crazy. Like that's open on Saturday because I need to do a Saturday. I work Monday through Friday a lot, so I can't. Like they gave me some pain medicine, but cloves actually help. One of my friends, his daughter goes to UGA, and she deals in sports science. So she's gonna be a trainer and all that for the athletic program. And she was telling him about cloves that, and I put the cloves in my mouth. It actually it puts a little feel. I would say, like I can feel it over my teeth, like a gloss over it over time. So I brush it off and stuff like that. But it actually helped with the pain. Haven't had any issues with my teeth lately, but it's another topic. But like I said, the relationship aspect, man, just me being young, knowing what I want. Me and my wife, we're discussing finance because that's why I say the biggest thing about relationships, about money, nobody's discussing this stuff starting off. Like, one of the biggest issues me and my wife had before we got married was the kids. My wife had two, and she was looking to not have any more because she was like, well, I really wanted to wait till I was older and my kids were grown so I can deal with somebody who didn't have kids or had kids that was grown themselves, so I didn't have to, go through the restarting process of kids. So I expressed to her, if I didn't have kids, then I wasn't gonna, be in a relationship like that. I wanted kids. And she was like, wow, you've been together for a couple of months, been doing good. So you're willing to throw all that away just because you want kids? I was like, that's what I want. I want what I want. If I don't have kids, I don't see us going even further. Cause I'm like, that's one of my deal breakers. And people should have that. That's, in a relationship, like people say about red flags, there's certain things that you just can't do without. And kids is one of them. If I don't have a child, it's not a relationship for me. You know, even with the finance aspect, if we can't discuss things on mutual basis to the point where I've ran across women who say the man should pay all the bills. And you say, well, what doing with your chick? Appreciate it. And what are you doing? What are you gonna do with your money? She's like, well, I ain't gonna pay no significant bills. I don't get the whole thing, that aspect of that, in a relationship, the man pays all the bills. The woman don't have to do nothing with her money. So you're not saving. Like one of my friends, he has a relationship similar to that, where he pays all the bills. But this is the thing. His wife, she works on and off, but she takes all her money. She don't save to a degree she don't save to a degree for investments, but she takes the money and plan trips. She has the rainy day fund, which she put aside for. So, like I said, it's not really a big saving because she does a lot of other stuff with the money. She uses that money for all the kids' extracurricular activities. Now that the kids grown, she's put money into a business. She takes her money and do certain things. She's not just having all that money balling out, shopping, going. No, and that was understood because she didn't have a job when they first got together. So they were critiquing, if she do get a job, what is she going to do with her money? And when she was pregnant, she didn't really work. And he was quick to tell her to quit her job. Like that was their go to, the way they do things. Same thing with me and my wife. We discuss, the 50-50 aspect. You pay some bills, I pay some bills. But it's not 50-50. Sometimes I might pay some of her bills. Sometimes she might pay some of mine and give me some money on the bill. And she be like, you owe me this. Like the other day, I sent $50 to my brother. I don't have Cash App, so I use her Cash App. She just takes the money out of my account and send it. But I sent $50 to my brother on her Cash App, or I told her to send $50 and she just put it out my account. Same thing. Like if she pays something for me, she still pulls out my account. That's why I'm like, it works for us. But you take somebody else, it might not work for them. Because things are structured a certain way, things are handled a certain way. A lot of people are not working together like that. Like I said, two entities, corporation, join together to make one. Most relationships should be like that. That's a business deal. Nowadays, you have two entities join together as a corporation, still separate. Any given time, that person can go their way. Any given time, the other person can go their way, and they're separate. They're not together. They're not saying, okay, let me help you out. We're in a relationship. Like I said, community property. This is a household money. This is not just my money. J.G. Whitworth is my money and I want it now. It's not just your money. When it comes to the relationship, like I keep saying, finance, nobody's never really had this big discussion about finance. Nobody had this sit down where I can show you how to buy a house, where I can teach you how to save. All this stuff I learned for the most part is on the fly. My cousin and them had the better detail of financial literacy than me because my aunt went to school for business management. My aunt, in her 30s, owned a corner store. She had to end up selling her corner store because of crazy decisions from my uncle, and then being pressed by the people in that area over there. They wanted to take that area and gentrify that area because there was a lot of black people over in East Atlanta. They wanted to just gentrify that shopping district, so they started going up on the rent. The insurance started going high because there was a couple of break-ins, so crime, and all that just pushed her out of business. She was making money. She said she could have stuck it out and, kept going, but that was the thing. The writing was on the wall and she paid attention. So she was like, ain't no use to fighting. I'll go back to work. you know. But she owned her own store. She got to the point before she quit her job, she was working for, what was it, Bell South. It was Bell South. She was working for Bell South and having a store. And then finally she got to the point where she made enough to where she quit her job and worked there full time. She had 3 kids. Each one of her kids, financially wise, never heard of them stressing about money. Never heard any issue about them, like, financially wise. None of her kids financially struggle because it was taught in the house. Like I said, she went to school for business management. She owned her own store. None of her kids struggle financially wise. Now, this is where the plot twists. Her grandkids are horrible with money. And it's not that their dad didn't teach them. It's not that the grandma didn't help them. But they don't listen. Now, with me, on the other hand, it was a learning curve. My grandmother, she worked. She was to the degree that she made ends meet. She did what needs to be done. Financial literacy, it wasn't all the way there. She knew to go to work and to pay bills. Pay the bills when they were due. She didn't teach me nothing about interest rates when I got credit cards. My cousin told me that when I got older. She didn't teach me that. She didn't teach me about a lot about savings because if you saved any money, she wanted some of that. When it came down to it, I didn't start having a big deal about savings until I got a little older. Because I knew I had to have money for a rainy day because at my job I worked after I graduated, made tons of money. But there were 3 months where I didn't make a lot of money. And it was steady income, anywhere from $600 to $800. Well, I would say $500 to $800. Steady income between that range for 3 months during the winter. But the crazy part was summertime, the least amount of check I made was less than $1,200. That was the least amount. All the way up to some up to what, close to, what was it, $3,000, and that was a week, and that was after taxes. So making that much money, you're gonna be doing a lot of playing around, just frugalist shopping for no reason, doing all that stuff. But when it came down to it, I had to learn this stuff as time went on. I bumped my head. You know, I was never a big component of trying to finance a car. But when I got with my wife, the reason I did it was because she needed something that was more secure. I didn't need any calls when I was out of town about her, not being able to drive. It was one time when I first got with her, and we were just dating during the part. We never really like lived together and all that stuff. We were just dating. So I'm about to get off here too. Crazy. I'm coming almost up on an hour, but I got a grid. I just pulled into work a minute back. So my wife, her tire went flat. And, by me being the boyfriend, she was like, hey, my tire flat. What am I going to do? I'm out of town. I can't do anything. I called my brother. Told my brother go change the tire because he was in town. After that, as soon as I came home, bought all 4 new tires. After that, about a couple of months later, we ended up just getting a new car. So we got a new car. Checked that car. Everything was good. Something went wrong on it. End up fixing it. End up getting the first car we bought cash. Every car after that, we got a car note, but we paid it off because my thing was I couldn't have my wife out there, something being wrong with the car, and I wasn't able to either be there to help her or, kind of get somebody in position to help her. And you can't always depend on family like that. So that was the biggest issue with me trying to hurry up and make sure things were done with her. And like I said, it worked for us. The way our financial structure worked, the way we both worked and provided for the kids, it worked. A lot of people are not having these conversations. They're not talking about this stuff. So that's why on a financial scale, relationships don't work right now. And then, like I keep saying, unexpectations. There are so many women that expect all this stuff about paying bills. It just don't work. If a man makes if you have a high-end earner and he can pay all the bills, that's great. But combining your money together, you can afford more. This is one video where this guy was like, if you get with your man, or if I get with you, are we gonna have to pay these bills, this and that? If I gotta, she's like, well, you pay all the bills, you the man. That's the way I was taught. The man pay all the bills. So he's like, well, I can pay all the utilities, the car insurance. I get that. But when it comes down to it, with the house, if we can afford a $500,000 house just on my income, you want to do it that way, or you want to get a bigger house and we get an $800,000 house? Would you want to do it that way? She was like, nah. I'd rather for you to get the $500,000 house because I don't want to help. I don't want to pay this. I don't want to do that. And I'm like, and even the guy on the video was like, he was laughing like, you're not the one for me. And she was like, oh, what are you talking about? This and that. It's like, don't you know, if we get an $800,000 house, if we stay in it for a couple of years, that house will be worth $1 million. If I get an $800,000 house, maybe 7, it's not gonna get close to 800,000. Especially depends on the area. The more higher the house, the more pretty much advanced that house grows. Prime example, like me and my wife, I was telling her, and also really having community property. Us buying another house with land and building on the land houses or tiny house, something to where the kids can stay there. And, they can move in, have their family there. And then we all get together and, still be close knit, because that's what the housing were back in the day. People stayed together, people stayed around each other. If your kids need to be babysit, you don't have to drive all the way across town to drop the kids off, then drive all the way across the town to pick them back up. They was in the same school district. One of my friends, when I was in high school, his family kept that tradition. His aunt stayed across the street from him. His uncle stayed down the street, and they was all on the same street. It just, 10 houses that way for the uncle, across the street, one house over for the aunt. And I'm like, man, y'all family. He's like, yeah, man, my cousins, they stay in the neighborhood across from us, but they stay, like, our family's still all in the same area. So if anything, there was always going to be somebody to watch the kids. There was always going to be somebody to, work with each other. You needed some food, you needed some help. Everybody was in that area. I was talking to this one guy, this Indian couple. They had built the house for $1 million and had 4 families come stay with them. 4. So you had the cousin, the brother, and the grandparents. Of course, the people who built the house. All 4 of them. Not just 4 people. I mean, not just 3 other people. 3 other families. So the cousin and the brother had 1 or 2 kids. The grandparents had no kids. The dude himself, he had 4 kids. All of them stayed in that house. So they had I think it was 5 or 6 bedrooms upstairs. And then they had some bedrooms in the basement. 2 kitchens. So everything was cool. And they had a master suite on the first floor for the grandparents, so they can, have to hit no stairs or anything. They had a living room quarters and kitchen downstairs in the basement, so the other family could stay down there. Entry into the basement too. Had a what was it, 3-car garage set up with an attic on top of that. I'm like, dang, this is nice. They could have actually put another suite on top of the 3-car garage and had some up there, but they just built the 3-car garage with the attic. That could be done for some later when talked about it. But at the same time, nobody's doing that no more. Everybody's separate. But what they say, but equal. You got to be together. Like I said, Open Mind said it earlier. Teamwork make the dream work, but nobody's doing teamwork. It's individual practice. Like I said, media has got everybody to the point where your money only counts for you the way you work your money. Why your money can't count for the family? Why your money can't be grown in one big pot? You know how much money you'll get with interest if not putting in the savings account. Man, I keep forgetting his channel. And I want to teach you to be rich. Dang, I wish I had my other phone. Dang, what's his name? Rob? I can't think his name right now. But his channel is I Want to Teach You to Be Rich. And he had a Netflix special talking about money, because he deals with finance. And ultimately, he had a lady on there, lady and man. They were looking to buy a house. They sit up there. They had saved over $800,000 to buy a house in New York for $1.1 million. Their goal was to save $1.1 million. They were staying in a crappy 1-bedroom apartment in New York for, what was it, $1,600 a month. Real small, no kids, because they said the kids would be a distraction. It would be, they're focusing on the money. Don't you know that this couple would have had that $1 million if they would have been financially, like, school? They sit up there, had $800,000 in a savings account. I'm like, when you got to like 100 or 2, why you didn't put it in a money market account? Why you didn't put it in a in a CD, something a bunch. Like if you're gonna keep that money long term, put it in something that the interest grows long term. Prime example, if Alonzo would have talked to him, Alonzo would have been like, man, dump this money into a life insurance policy for 10 years, and you know the ramifications of how much money they would have got back. Man, I'm like, but that's the thing about being financial literate. Nobody's talking about this. You know, like I said, everybody's looking at the Cardi B and Offset in his situation. Everybody's looking at Puff. Come on now. I mean, honestly speaking, everybody knew Puffy was doing this. So why is it a big thing? Because now he's getting outed about it. The whole kid stuff, I probably didn't know about that, but everybody knew Puffy was doing this. Everybody knew. The whole thing with R. Kelly, everybody knew up in Chicago that R. Kelly was going to visit kids at school. He would go to the high school, sing in front of them, pick them up, take them to the studio, take them this place. Everybody knew about that. Everybody knew about Bill Cosby. But the thing about Bill was, Bill used party drugs, but the thing of it was, he gave them something in return. The lady who worked for Temple, he got her the coaching job at Temple. She came to see Bill again. She got the athletic director position. She benefited twice off of him. That's why her testimonies didn't get him in jail. The testimonies that got him in jail was the testimony, what's going on? He said in the building. The testimony that got Bill in jail was the testimony from the girl, the young lady. And the crazy part about it was she asked for the drugs. I'm going on a tangent, going way off of this, but it's for a reason. Stick with me for a minute. I need to get off here too. But the thing of it was, when it always, you try to look and count the money. Let's see if I can do this now. Nope. Won't let me do it. Active channel, pin, report. Try to give you a wrench. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. They changed the wrench modification now. But like I said, it all goes back to finance. Everybody's trying to get something from somebody. In a relationship, with the money being together, like I said, that corporation, they're separate entities in a corporation. You still have your structured sound business. I still have my structured sound business. The corporation is supposed to be together where they make it work and grow bigger. That's why most relationships, most marriages don't grow as bigger than what they've already started, due to the fact because they're still working separate against each other. Have you ever seen that commercial about the left Twix and right Twix? They're both the same. They're both in the same pack, but they're separate. Other than like having a Snicker bar that's one. You know? And a lot of people are coming in relationships like that. You have your money, I have my money. It's not community, it's not our money. It's not money that we're joining together for the greater good, which is supposed to be when you get married. Because, like I said, the rules and regulations on marriage have changed. And a lot of people, if you go back to the elders that actually made it work, the ones that were, man, a lot of them was some cheating, wilding. Dudes were wilding out. And it's not saying that everybody, it was dudes that were wilding out back in the day. Man, they was having multiple women. They was having kids across town, having 2 sets of families. Because why? They could afford it. Most of them guys worked 2 jobs. The women stayed home. That's why I was saying, when it comes down to finance and women saying that they don't got to pay no bills, because most of the time the women wasn't working back then. And the women who were stay-at-home moms, the men were fair about the finance. They have that finance abuse now, to where if the woman want to do something and she not working, she can't do it because the man makes all the money. Stuff like that happens nowadays. But overall, I'm about to get off of here, man. I wanted to talk about this. I'm gonna probably talk about this for the rest of the week. Tomorrow I'll probably do mental health stuff talking about it because the aspect on how it hurts not only you, it hurts the family and everything about this money. Like we got to work together for the greater good, man. Because a lot of us are not talking about this. Like I said, in the biggest aspect, I'm not telling people who to vote for and all this during the election. But when I say the least, I'm just telling you, I'm not really voting for Kamala, man. She hasn't shown me anything that she can efficient. Like, my thing is this. Right now, Kamala's in the White House. Everything that she wants to implement, she can have some faction in doing it now. Because let's face it, Biden's not running the country no more. Biden hasn't ran the country since he first got in office. You don't see him that much, and when you see him, he's falling, he's tripping, hurting himself. Everybody knew when he was running that something was kind of off about him already, but a lot of people still voted him in. The same guy that wrote that crime bill. I'm not just gonna, because it's a new day that you've changed and you took over a new leaf, you know, looking at his history, dealing with dragons within the K. I'm not gonna forget all this stuff. Even though Trump was a bad candidate, but still, like, I, Trump put his cards on the table. He's hiding his cards. Same thing with Kamala. What is Kamala's agenda? She's not really pushing it forward. She's trying to ride this black coat wave, black coattail. I don't know, man. Like, this election gonna be crazy because the whole Puff thing is it's a distraction for people. Like I said, Puff been doing his thing like this. It's just outing. All the people that been, you can tell all the people that been in his parties, man. Come on now. A lot of people been in his parties. The whole Hollywood industry is gonna get ripped open if he bring all this stuff out. Not only just the Hollywood, you got politicians, pastors. Man, if they really, they're gonna silence this thing just like they did Epstein. Trust me. Weinstein, he was a small pun in that industry that did a lot of damage. But Epstein and Puffy is like, a lot of this is going to come out about Hugh Hefner because that was one of Hugh Hefner's houses that I think Puffy bought. A lot of this stuff is going to come out about Hugh Hefner, the way he was doing stuff too. A lot of this stuff is going to come out. Just saying the least, man. It's crazy now, and just going on a little tan right now before I jump off. Man, all I'm saying is right now, nobody's talking about the port as well. That's another big issue. The port, they about to get ready to close. The workers are talking about how they're not getting paid, for one. Two, they're talking about automation, AI. They're talking about replacing a lot of guys on those docks. So it's going to get imperative that we start paying attention. My thing, I've been doing it now ever since I heard about it last week because I know some guys in the trucking industry. Start stocking up now because I'm telling you, those shelves are going to go quick. It's going to be 2020 all over again. I'm about to stock back up, about to pull my shelves back out, stock back up on my water, stock back up on my toiletries, stock back up on the essentials, canned goods, mainly dry goods that I can keep, from beans, rice, stuff like that. Might have to get my garden back out again. This time pay attention to my garden. I got a lot more stuff. I actually got my sprinkler system I might put out there, but I have a watering system for my garden now. I'm going to spread my garden even bigger. I just got to cut down some more trees in my backyard. Once I do that, it's all full because I want to get these trees out of my yard because I don't want them falling on my house. Even though I got insurance, preventative maintenance is always better. I really want to get all that stuff squared away. But like I said, nobody's talking about this. When the port closed down, it's a lot of money going to be on the table. And somebody's going to go up like 2020 and grab that money, and then there's gonna be a lot of money that's not being spent and allocated to things. Like right now, they still have money that people don't know about. If you were a business owner and you were affected by COVID back in the day, they have money on the line for that, but people haven't got yet. When Trump was in office, when Biden was in office, Biden got a thing now, a relief for people who are business owners and stuff. Nobody's not doing the research. I'm gonna share this video about that, and a lot of people look into that. Like I'm pretty much looking into it, but saying the least, man, finance, finance, finance. We need to be more focused on money. We need to be more focused on our resources. I'm about to get ready to switch careers. I'm about to go into this home improvement stuff. Even though nobody, if they build houses or not, it's always going to be a thing with improvement, things that need to be fixed around the house. There are single women that own homes that need stuff fixed. There are men that are not even good handymans. I know dudes that are in relationships. Prime example, one of my homeboys. This guy, he tries to make enough money so he won't have to do anything because he don't know what he's doing. I had to come unclog the drain in one of his toilets in the basement. Charged him for that. Had to do the same thing for one of his sinks. Even though we friends, yeah, I could not charge him, but if that's my job, I got to get paid for it. So, with that being said, shout out to everybody. You know, I always say when I get off of here, we here, we gone. Peace.